Hi, I'm Sandy Scheller with the Chula Vista Heritage Museum and the South Bay Historical Society, where we have the exhibit Ruth, Remember Us the Holocaust. And today we're featuring an interview that is probably going to be one of the most amazing interviews I have ever captured. My biggest regret with the South Bay Historical Society and Chula Vista Heritage Museum exhibit is that I didn't feature Werner Dreifuss sooner. I am so blessed that we're able to connect. If you look at case number 10 from the episode 1, we talk about the Temple Beth Shalom, and we talk about Leah and Sam Shopov, who donated the Torah cover, a very beautiful original Torah cover, which is quite great. I got to tell you, Werner, I am most excited to do this interview. And my book, your book, this is a book called The Epitome of the American Dream. You can find it on Amazon. I highly recommend that you get this book. I'm going to start with one question, and I'm going to let Werner take this away. You were born 1931.
March 1931.
Life is great until 1939. Do you remember Kristallnacht?
Yes.
And you, at this time now, are 9 or 10 years old.
At that time I was 8 years old.
8 years old. What happened in 1939?
In 1939, after Kristallnacht, just to go back one step, my mother put me in an orphanage in Frankfurt, called Waisenhaus. It's all in the book, because she couldn't take care of me, and she felt that maybe by being in the orphanage I would be able to escape Germany, which she wasn't able to provide for me. So that's how I wound up in Waisenhaus. I don't remember how old I was. And I have pictures of me, of my mother. I have pictures of myself as an infant, as a small child. And after Kristallnacht, all the children from Waisenhaus were sent to different countries. There was 22 of the girls went to Netherlands.
Let me ask you, what happened to your mother and what happened to your father?
We found some records of my mother being sent to Poland to concentration camp.
Which concentration camp?
I don't know.
You don't know, but you know that she was sent to a concentration
we found
camp.
some records,
And your father?
I never knew what happened to him.
You never knew.
No.
All of a sudden, your mother puts you in an orphanage.
36,
37. Being in an orphanage, did you know about Kristallnacht? Did anybody talk to you about it?
No.
No,
That
not at all.
afterwards.
Oh, of course. And what about what happened in the transport, kinder transport?
Well, the thing, like we're saying, the kids were sent to different places in the world, because not everybody could take all the kids. There was probably 80, 90 children at Waisenhaus. So in 1939, they sent 22 children girls were able to go to Holland. Some went to Israel, and I was among 15 that went to France.
What was that like, Werner? What is it like being in an orphanage?
Well, I can say this: there was no problem at the orphanage. I mean, it was a pleasant experience. I mean, we took us to summer camps. We had sandbox to play in, and I have pictures of all of this thing. And it was a 3-story building, and the thing I remember mostly about that is the playground, and also the top floor had a roof that opened up, and they made a sukkah out of it, a sukkah. And also for Hanukkah, I got pictures of us lighting the candles. Every child had a candle, menorah to light a candle in, and we were all taken care of.
So you're in an orphanage, and in Europe.
Yeah.
Orphan life.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, do you remember having faith? Do you remember thinking?
Yes, because Waisenhaus was an Orthodox Jewish home, and we were raised Jewish. Everything was kosher as long as they could do it. And when we were sent, I was sent with 15 children. We were sent to Paris, outside of Paris, to Aubonne, which was an orphanage there. Well, actually, before that, we went to another temple, to a DuPont mansion that DuPont had donated or leased to the OSE organization to house children. And it was a 3-story building also, set in the middle of a whole city block with beautiful grounds all around it. It was a beautiful building. And talk about that because they intertwine.
Wow. So when you're in Paris, if I can just bring you up a little bit, because being that we're with the Chula Vista Heritage Museum, I would love to hear Chula Vista stories. How old were you when you transported from Paris to Los Angeles?
Well, when the Germans invaded Paris to France, we were evacuated down to Limoges, to Montintan, which was an old castle, and they had one house right next to it that was for the Orthodox children. And then they had the big house there. It was late at night. You came by train. And it's amazing how they were able to transport all these kids and find space on the train going south, because everybody was fleeing Paris because the Germans were invading.
Did you understand that term, that the Germans are invading?
Yes.
You understood, like,
Yeah.
oh my God. A question, where were you born?
What's that?
Where were you born?
That's a good question. And all my records showed that I was born in Darmstadt.
In Darmstadt.
In Darmstadt.
Okay.
My mother worked in the bakery there, in Darmstadt.
In Darmstadt.
Well, we're going to get back to that. I was not born in Darmstadt, just to clarify.
Where were you born?
I was born in Frankfurt.
In Frankfurt. How you went from Paris, you're going south because the Germans are invading, and what happened?
Everybody was fleeing Paris. And it's just simply amazing how this OSE organization was able to get space on the train for hundreds of kids and transportation to the train station, because the roads were so blocked with people fleeing. It was a miracle in its own. And it's a fellow by the name of Mr. Papanek, who's a picture on this book here. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Out of the Fire. I've heard of it.
Out of the Fire.
Uh-huh.
And this is a picture taken when he was receiving a cake and stuff. And I am right here.
This is you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to call this, okay, I'll turn it. We're going to call this, and we're going to get a better photograph of this when we make our video, but my finger is right below where Werner Dreifuss is. And right here is the person, Ernest Pumpernickel, right here. Okay, so you can see that my finger here is showing Werner, which is right there, and this is Ernest Pumpernickel.
And the thing with Ernest Pumpernickel, to bring you up to date, he was in charge of all the homes in France that the OSE operated. And he was on the Germany's most wanted list.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. He was on Germany's most wanted list. When this book came out, you realized your picture was in the book.
No, I didn't know that.
You didn't know. All of a sudden you looked and you went, oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah.
Amazing. And yeah, this is a New York Times, World Monroe Publishing. I mean, it's an amazing book, a poignant account of how eminent educator helped save Jewish children from the Hitler onslaught. But I still want to talk about the epitome of the American dream.
Now this is a picture of the Musenjo
And I'm so impressed that you have this picture. It's interesting because you acquired another picture that you bought because you misplaced this. How did you find your picture?
God knows, I just found it again.
All of a sudden you find it and you're like, miracle time. It's a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. Werner, explain to me how you got from the south, from an orphanage. Obviously you're on a ship. Where did the ship dock?
The ship came, when the Portuguese ship,
okay.
Portugal was still a neutral country, camps. there were internment camps in Égreux and other places in France, but they found it too difficult to get the children out of those camps, so they transferred them to the OSE organization.
So you're on the ship.
Wait a minute, I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
And so they were the 100 of us each thing, and they picked children that were easiest to take out. They didn't have to get their permission from parents. They couldn't find my parents, so I was available to go. There was nobody to say yes or no.
Right. You had no mother, no father, and there's a visa there, and you're how old? 10, 11?
I'm 10 years old.
10 years old. 10 years old.
So I was out in the first transport that went out. Now what we did, we went through France, and we stopped by a constant internment camp, Égreux, and all these big loaves of bread that they baked at the home to take with us, or at the bakery that we bought this thing from. There was no dining cars on the trains in those days, and when we got to Égreux, we weren't able to get out. We opened the windows, and a lot of the children's parents came to the train.
Oh my gosh!
And we gave them all the bread we could give them. And I remember one thing. I was 10 years old, and I remember one mother being in the camp, and she had a can with a coin in it, and it was one of the kids on the train's birthday. And she gave him that for his birthday present. It's amazing how you remember things. And
yeah.
And then the train went from there through Spain. And in Spain, we got off the train, and they took us by buses through Spain. And we stopped one night at a Catholic place, and they took us all in and fed us and showered and stuff. And then from there, we went on to Lisbon. The ship was supposed to take us to United States, and we were in Lisbon. We were using a school that was closed for the summertime, and they brought in carts, and people from Lisbon brought us oranges and foods, all kinds. And I remember they took us all to some fancy hotel for lunch, and there was a problem getting the money to pay for our passage from Lisbon to New York, and I have the correspondence that took place between them. There's a fellow by the name of Otto Kearns. This is Otto Kearns. In later life, he lived in Los Angeles. He was an engineer. And this here is Jack Hirsch, and his brother is Isaac, who was a rabbi from Israel. And in 1989, we had a 40th reunion of all the kids came over, and all these three took a picture together, and here's the same picture of them in Europe as little boys.
So these were the three that were little boys, and
at the reunion of the...
This was you?
No, that's not me. That's him, Otto Kearns.
This is Otto Kearns, yeah. Yes.
And
okay.
And this is Jack Hirsch. He passed away in the Stuttgart. He was in Atlanta. He was a accountant. I'm still in touch with his wife Gladys, and he was a rabbi. Lived in Israel. There was like 260 people at this reunion in Los Angeles. At a big synagogue.
50 years ago, they were children seeking refuge from the Nazis, and today they celebrate their survival. And how important was this man to you?
All of these documents that I have, thanks to him.
Because of him.
Because of him, he had volumes of books that he got,
Arthur Kern
and correspondence that went back and forth to get.
And his name is Arthur Kern.
Otto was Kernberg's, and he changed it to Otto Kearns.
Yeah, it's interesting because he has it here as Arthur.
Yeah, and he changed his name. His wife Trudy is still alive. She's in a nursing home.
Oh my gosh!
And the thing is, was in a home, in the same home that I was, and before we left the home in Montintan, somebody gave me a little book, that I thought I had lost. What do you call it? Little notebook, like and Arthur Kearns had written this book. It was on a
Right.
bigger size than this, and when we were living in College Gardens Court, one day somebody comes up to the door and knocks on the door and asks, "Is Werner Dreifuss live here?" And my wife answered the door, and it turns out that it was Arthur Kearns. He came from Los Angeles, and he found my name in the phone book, and he came to search me out.
To give you this book.
No, I had this book.
You had this book.
Anyway, we invited him for dinner, to stay for dinner with his 3 kids. And I said to him, I have something.
Now, I just want to say at this point, never judge a book by its cover. It's the content. And it doesn't have to be super fancy published. You can create a book which you can give to your kids, your memoirs, your family. This is amazing because it's pieces of paper with a staple, but the information is what's so important.
And so I showed him the book, and he said, "I'm the one that wrote this book." He had given it to me to read on the ship, and I kept it all these years, and I didn't know who it was from.
And he's the one who wrote this book while
And he drew all these characters.
Right.
You want the book? I'll give it to you. He said, I'll make you. I'll be happy to have it, and I'll take you, and I'll send you a copy of it, which he did. This is strictly a copy. Anyway, to finish off, my son-in-law is a cantor in Los Angeles at Kehila Israel Synagogue, and I'm going quite a few years difference. And one day he said, he calls me Pop. He says, "I have to go to the Museum of Tolerance. Have you ever been at one?"
Yes, of course.
Okay, and to talk or something, he said, "Want to go with me?" I said, "Of course." So I went over there, and they started showing me the stuff from World War II and I, and here was the book. Arthur had given it to the museum.
To the museum.
And
that just makes you cry.
Yeah, I mean,
going from Lisbon to New York,
okay.
and you're on the ship days.
10 days.
What was it like seeing the Statue of Liberty for the first time?
I didn't even know what it was.
You had no
I
idea.
didn't know.
All of a sudden you're on the ship, you're in open water. What was the first thing you saw when it was land?
At night we would see the German submarines circling
Oh
the ship.
my gosh.
And if they would have ever declared war on Portugal while we were out there, we wouldn't be making this.
You wouldn't be making the interview. Yeah. No, of course.
And for years, Arthur Kearns, he would have get-togethers at his house in Los Angeles, and all the people would come.
Your ship is from Lisbon going to New York, and the German submarines are circling this passenger ship.
Yeah.
Had there been war, you wouldn't be here.
That's right.
So when did the ship finally dock?
On June the 21st, it finally docked in New York. 1941.
1941, June 21st. You're out in open water. Boom, 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 boom. What's the first thing you saw when you came into New York?
Well, first of all, there was tons of reporters and stuff from the New York Times stuff, and then they give every child one of these. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these.
No, the American Friends Service Committee. And it's from sailing from Lisbon. This is the first time I've ever, this is museum history. Yep. And I'm not trying to promote anything, but this is why we need a Holocaust museum in Chula Vista, because these documents are absolutely priceless and they have such historical value. And this is the first time that we're seeing these things.
And these were on a.
And this was on your lanyard.
Yeah. I mean, we had a thing on it that we had to wear.
Oh my gosh.
In case we got lost or something, they would know where to send us.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. I'm going to put this document here as well. And again, for social reasons, we're making a point to do this interview and be social distance.
And here's a picture. That's me right here.
Oh Lord.
This is a picture taken in Portugal.
Okay. Werner is right here, and we'll try to get that.
And on one of our cruises on the Crystal, they have a lot of Portuguese staff.
Okay, Max? Okay.
Portuguese staff, and I happen to have a picture of that with me.
I got to tell you, you were really cute.
Oh, thank you. What happened, huh? And I
No,
asked him, I said, do you know this? What does this say? He said, it's the newspaper publishing
The
place.
publishing place
Yeah.
of the newspaper.
And it's still in
The-
existence. At
The
that,
sol,
that was at that time.
the Socolo, the Socolo, the Socolo. Wow,
Well,
wow.
and also on the ship, we slept in third class, which was in the steerage on the bottom.
You're in the bottom
Yeah,
third class.
This was a tramp steamer that they turned into a
Okay,
passenger ship.
I got to ask you, when you saw the Titanic, and then you saw the film The Titanic, and then you see what they did in third class,
Yeah.
were you dancing and partying?
Oh, I don't think so.
I had to
I don't
ask
think
that.
there
I'm
was a
sorry.
little light. I was afraid to get out of bed to go to the bathroom. We were in bunk beds down there. It was always
Really?
cold. It was dark and.
It was dark and cold.
But we ate. In those days, they had first, second, third class food.
Right.
We ate in second class, so the food was okay.
The food was okay.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
all right. Okay.
So, Werner.
Once we got to New York,
Okay.
a lot of children like Jack Hirsch
Uh-huh.
that I mentioned before,
Mm-hmm.
he had relatives in Atlanta, so he was sent to Atlanta
Because of his relatives.
to his relatives, and they were all the children would send out to different relatives all of Chicago. There's a lady called Elfrieda Schloss. I don't know if you ever heard of her.
I've heard of her name.
She's 95 years old. I'm still in touch. She lives in San Diego.
Yes.
She was in Weisenhouse with me. She was in Auburn with me. She was in Montintan with me, and she came on the transport with me. She was 15 years. She was 15 years old at the time. She was 5 years older than I am.
Wow.
And I was still in contact. We get together with them all the time.
That's fantastic. And that's the beauty of the New Life Club and first generation Holocaust survivors, that they still make it a point to get together even at this tender age that you're at. So you're in New York and you have no relatives. You get off the ship. Where do you go? How old are you? 10?
10.
Where do you go? What do you do as a 10-year-old
Do-
getting off of a ship?
We went to an orphanage on 37th Street in New York. I tell about it in my book.
Okay.
And like I said, the children every
I got it.
every I mean, most of these kids went, and we never saw most of them ever again because we were all scattered out.
You're all scattered.
We were all scattered, but
Oh.
there was 15 of us that they put on a train to Los Angeles, to Vista Del Mar.
Okay.
There was an orphanage there because
So you went from New York to Vista Del Mar
on a Pullman train.
on a train.
Oh, we loved it. I mean, the food and the Pullman beds and stuff,
Uh-huh.
and the scenery. I mean, it was something really different.
Did you think, oh my God, America is like really big?
Yeah.
Here I am. And where were your stops? Did you stop in Chicago? Did you stop in Albuquerque?
They
Where
had
did you go?
the train stop, but we stayed on the train pretty
Okay,
much, yeah.
pretty much.
And we got to Los Angeles, and we were taken by bus to Vista Del Mar. I don't know if you've ever been there
Mm-mm.
or heard of it.
I've heard of it.
It's on Motor Avenue. It's in the city of Palms, and
What is this in your hand?
this is a little photograph book that Tante Werner, who was one of the caretakers at Weisenhouse, gave me before we left.
Before you left, so this is one of your treasures
Oh yeah,
that you had when you were on the ship.
right. Okay, this is Tante Werner and me
Oh my
on
gosh.
the side of Weisenhouse.
Excuse me. So here's the most amazing story. Imagine a woman and her husband who have a son. He is 11 years old. Now this is a woman in Chula Vista, and the people we're talking about is Sam and Leah Shapoff. Imagine you've got a 10-year-old son. He's playing baseball and he got injured, correct? How did he get injured?
A ball hit him on the ankle.
A ball hits him on the
A
ankle.
hard ball. When they were playing, somebody hit it and it hit him, and it got infected, and they tried to listen.
The ankle got infected, and unfortunately, he dies. His name is Joel.
Joe. He was 12 years old.
12 years old. Devastating for the Shapoff family from Chula Vista. Now what happens is, she goes to an orphanage.
Oh, no, gotta go back up a little bit.
Okay.
Leah Shapoff had a brother named Nady Adelson,
Uh-huh.
who was a rabbi, well-known rabbi in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And I think he was the one that mentioned it. And somebody suggested that they bring another child into their house.
Into their home. So somebody said, you know, Leah and Sam, you really need to bring another child.
And so they came up to visit Del Mar, and that's a whole nother story.
Okay, are you ready for this? And this is the child that they adopted. You were how old when you came to Chula Vista?
12 years old.
12 years old, from in a home, in an orphanage in Los Angeles. After everything you've been through, you now meet Leah and Sam. Was it love at first sight when you met them?
No. It's kind of a touchy story.
Okay.
You know, they could take out the children for a weekend. You know, she got along well in this anyway, and they brought me back to the home.
They brought you back.
And they decided they weren't going to take me.
That they weren't going to take you. Oh, Werner. And then what happened?
And they dropped me off, and I didn't even know that because I started to cry, and Sam turned the car around and came and get me.
So just as he's ready to take you back,
He took me back.
he took you back, you started to cry.
After they told me they weren't taking me.
They weren't taking you.
Because they told me about living on the ranch with all the animals and all of this stuff, and it wasn't. And I was ready to run away from the orphanage anyway.
So he turned around, came back, picked you up, and took you back to Chula Vista. Now, at the time, just so you know, right now, if you go on C Street, there are a bunch of apartments, the DMV, the whole valley. That was owned by the Shopoffs. They had one house which was up on top. I knew Leah Shopoff because my father used to take her home from the temple. But I wanted to know, was it like being a child of Leah and Sam Shopoff? Once you got past the fact that he turned around and picked you up, what was life like?
Well, it was good. I had no problems. I mean, I tell about it in my book. I came to the house, and one of Leah's sister, Jenny, was at the house cooking up the storm, and there was some other relatives. Estelle Dunst, you remember Estelle Dunst?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Oh my God, of course. And Lou Dunst.
Estelle Dunst was Leah's niece.
Oh Lord.
Estelle's father was Leah's brother, and they built a house for him, Harry and Ann Adelson.
Oh
they
my
lived in Chula Vista.
Because she was married to Lou Dunst, who was a Holocaust survivor.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, his book is called Bargaining with God.
My bargain with God.
My Bargain with God, yes. So again, being that we have all these different books that can be read during this COVID time is really amazing.
And it's amazing how they all intertwine.
Oh my gosh, everybody is intertwining. This is called mishpacha. Now, just so you know, the word mishpacha means family. It means family. So here you are. Did you suffer any anti-Semitism when you were growing up in Chula Vista?
Yes.
How?
C Street was a dirt road, and the house was here, and then there was a bunch of krells and stuff where the cattle were. He was a cattle dealer.
Right.
And there was a hill there, and one day I walked up that hill, and there was some boy there. I don't remember who he was or what his name was, and he called me a dirty Jew.
In Chula Vista.
And I slugged him.
You hit him. You slugged
I hit
him.
him right in the face. I just.
And did he ever say that again?
I never saw him again.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov.
And
did you ever suffer anti-Semitism after that? No, that was the only instance. I'm looking at now is a photograph of the
Adolf Levi
and
his son Edgar
and his son Edgar
and Sam Shapoff
and Sam Shapoff, who is right here just below my finger. I'm going to go ahead and get a photograph of this when we're done with our interview, and then I can edit it in there.
Okay. He had property all over. The family still owns half of Mission Valley.
Wow, it still owns it.
Still owns it. And his grandson, Adolf Levi's grandson, his family, They own the Postmont Center.
Hello.
The hospital out there, Adolf Levi, if you ever go to that hospital, by the elevator, there's a plaque there. Adolf Levi donated that land to the hospital.
Wow. Let me ask you something. What's it like being a Chula Vista boy from, how do you say, almost Holocaust hell, which it actually was because you're in orphanages because of what happened and your mom being taken away. What's it like being a Chula Vista boy in the 50s?
Oh, I was very quiet. I was a quiet kid, and I have a lot of friends. I still have one friend from grammar school, from Chula Vista, F Street Grammar School. Lives in Hawaii. Every time we take a cruise or spy there, we get together. Or when he comes to Jack Rooney, and we're still in touch with another girl, Audrey Holmes, who was the homecoming queen. She lives up in North Park area.
And Esther Belinsky.
Esther Belinsky.
Esther Weinstock.
Esther Weinstock. Well, she and her sister Nita. And okay, another thing about Sammy.
Billy Casper.
Billy Casper, yes. Did you know Jack Ector? Okay. You have his telephone.
Yes, I have Jack
I
Ector.
want Jack's number. Listen, I tell you how I got in contact with him. I would go on Memorial Day. I go out to see my friend Sam.
Oh, I'll get it for you. Jack, I just want you to know you're being thought about. So this was your friend, Sam Woolsdorf.
Sammy Wolfdorf, yes.
And class of 1950, and unfortunately he was killed in Korea.
He was killed. He was co-captain of the Chula Vista football team. There was a big article written in the Chula Vista paper about him, what makes Sammy run.
Right.
I mean,
now this is, all of a sudden, this is like late 40s. Now you're in the 50s. Bring me up to speed. A bunch of Jews want to have a synagogue in Chula Vista? Does that sound unheard of?
no.
Tell me what happened, because I know you're a founder.
Well, there was Sam Chappell, Max Weinstock, Sam Venner. I don't know if you ever heard of Sam
Yes,
Venner.
of course.
He was he was a
The farmer.
Milton Linkoff, Alvin May. Do you remember Alvin May?
Of course.
And they decided to get together, and it was a church, and they owned a house next to it also.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were able to buy it, and they bought it, and had a.
What about Mr. Lastman?
Larry Lastman?
Larry Lastman?
Larry Lastman.
Absolutely, Larry. Was Kurt part of that? Was my father part of that?
I don't remember that. No,
Okay.
I don't remember that.
And Dr. Manis?
Dr. Manis, yes.
Okay. I know that my father was very instrumental, but with his limited funds, there were a group of people, the founders. So the founders were you, Dr. Linkoff, Dr. Manis, Dr. May, Mr. Lastman, Larry and Jackie Lastman, who to this day I'm very close with his daughter Linda, and
Well,
she has been.
She moved up. Linkoff moved to Los Angeles. Her
Right.
daughter lived up there.
That's correct, Marcy and Dina.
She probably passed away by now.
I don't know if she did. She was with my mom in Paradise Village.
Well, the thing is, Sammy and I were very close.
Wow. And was Sam Jewish too?
Sam, yes.
Okay.
Sammy Wolfdorf. He's Jack Gecker's nephew.
He's Jack Getcher's
his nephew.
nephew. Okay, I'll make sure you get Jack's number.
Now the thing is, and
We have his
what I
number.
like I was saying, on Memorial Day, I always go out to visit Sammy.
Oh.
He's on his grave,
Oh.
and he's buried next to his mother.
Is this at Home of Peace?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing was, Sammy was should never. I don't know if they
Well,
got divorced or what.
Let me ask you. You graduated from Chula Vista High School.
1950. First graduating class out of 4th and K.
That's correct.
Right.
Next question. What are you going to do with your life? What do you want to do? You graduated. You are stronger than probably anybody who's ever been in this class. Your history. I mean, all these people were used to like, hey, come and get it, kids, and the love and the bonding. You didn't have that. You met the shop-offs. And did you call them mom and dad, or did you
Yeah,
call them Leah?
yeah,
And
no.
okay, they were mom and dad to you.
Yeah.
I just remember Leah being an amazing cook. That's what I
yeah.
remember.
Oh, Sam would for
The
high
only
holidays.
kids
He would
ever
he would
really
go up
liked
to,
was our son Joel, because we named him after.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
for high
Yeah.
holidays. Sam would go up to Sam would go up to to Los Angeles and buy all this kind of fish, and she would make a big tub,
Oh.
this big of gefilte fish.
Oh, do I remember that?
And she had a big wooden bowl, and she could clap.
Do
she
I
hacked it,
remember her
and they put the
making-
eggs and the spices and stuff, and then she gave it away to all the family.
Yes. She was such a giver. I remember, you just, bing, I remember her gefilte fish. Oh my God, and it was the best.
And
With the
Sam-
carrot on top.
Yes.
Yes. Oh
And
my gosh.
Sam was a cook in the army. He was in the First World War.
Oh Lord.
And that's another story too. Sam had a
He came from Russia, correct?
yes, Lithuania.
Lithuania. When did he come to the...
I don't know. I never.
and he married Leah in the States or in Europe?
It's in the States.
In the States.
And that's another funny thing is.
Oh my gosh.
They got married in Los Angeles, and I don't know why they got married in Los Angeles.
Well,
other than
because
San
Nady
Diego.
was there.
And but just one thing before I forget, Sammy's a beautiful stone and has a picture of him on the market. And I
I'll
used to
put
go
this
there-
here so it doesn't blow away.
And one Memorial Day, I put a note on there because I thought I was the only one that remembered to take college for him.
When we'll talk afterwards, because I'm going to find where he is, and I'll make it a point to put stones when I go to the cemetery when I visit
It's
Ruthie.
right towards the right side in the corner. If you walk up the hill to Sam and Leo Chapo, and he's way over this way.
Okay, I'll find him.
It's a big stone, and his mother's on it also. There's nothing why we were close. He didn't have a father, and I didn't have a father. So Sam, we had something in common.
So you graduate from high school. What are you going to do with your life?
Well, the thing was, I never wanted to go to college. I didn't have the money to do it. So anyway,
They
but
wouldn't give him a dime.
and every Saturday they would give me 60 cents
60 cents.
to go to the Vogue Theater.
To go to the Vogue Theater.
To the Seville Theater.
Okay.
You remember the Seville Theater on G Street, just right past G Street on the right side.
Well, I remember the Butcher of Seville.
Yeah, well,
Which
that
was
that
on G Street.
Yeah, we knew him too.
Yeah, Norman Stein. Uh-huh.
I got pretty good memory.
Yeah, of course.
And they would give me 60 cents, 50 cents for the movie. There was two short pictures, a serial and a comedy in the news.
Right.
And then after that I would walk back, but there was a Wexel drugstore.
Yes.
And I would get an ice cream cone, and sometimes on the bottom of the ice cream cone there was a coupon for a free one. And boy, when that was a free one, that was like a
Oh,
holiday.
that is so awesome.
You know, things that you remember, you know.
We're gonna bring you up to speed a little bit. So you graduate from high school. You're not gonna go to college.
Before I graduated, I wasn't going to go to college,
Uh-huh.
but they had agriculture. And Mr. Mills was the agriculture teacher, Future Farmers of America chapter.
Uh-huh.
And I became president of the chapter, and I got quite involved in it. And I raised a couple of steers that I showed at the Del Mar Fair,
Oh my
and
gosh.
also at the Imperial Valley Fair. And we sold those. Then the Korean War was going on, and I decided I better go to college to keep from going to the war.
So you went to college.
So because I decided if I was going to be drafted, I would run away and I would go to Israel. I would fight in Israel before I would go to Korea to fight those bastards. I would go to Israel instead.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
I'd sooner fight for Israel than for Korea.
So you didn't get drafted.
So I didn't get drafted, and I finished 4 years of college at San Luis Obispo.
In San Luis Obispo, okay.
San Luis Obispo, and
In what department? What was your
dairy husbandry,
agriculture?
dairy husbandry. And on the way up there in Almonte, there was a sales yard that Sam used to buy cattle from, dairy cattle, and sell it to the different dairies in Chula Vista area.
Right.
And I would go up and pick up a bunch of cattle and have them sent down to him.
Oh my gosh.
And then I kept going on to college, and I did quite well in college. I was on the cattle judging team, and I was in my senior year. I went to our team went back to Waterloo, Iowa, to the National Dairy Congress in Waterloo, Iowa. This is like the Super Bowl of cattle judging, and they've all these eastern schools like Purdue and all these that had agricultural departments, and all these kids there from the all had judging teams. and I went back and I took second place in that contest.
Well, let me ask you something.
Out of 99 contestants, I was the first one out of from the west side of the Mississippi that ever placed in that contest.
That is marvelous. Let me ask you, you are living at the house on C Street, and when did you leave that home?
After we got married in June of. We got married a week after we got out of college because we figured I'm going to get drafted.
You met in college?
No, that's
We
another
met
story.
through
You know
a
Edie
mutual
Greenberg?
friend.
Pardon me?
You know Edie Greenberg?
I know the name.
Okay, she's
The
a
cook.
used to be a
Yes.
cook. Anyway, she lived in San Diego. Did you know Ben Press?
The name is
He
familiar.
was in Coronado.
Yes.
He was a tennis pro. It was his sister, and they lived on Utah Street. He had a burlap sack business.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, Ben was a pro, and Edie went to UCLA, to college, and she was going to UCLA.
Well-
And Edie said, I got somebody you should meet. And I still hold it against her.
No, yeah, you hold her against her.
No, I hold it against Edie.
No, I'm saying, but you hold her against you. You know, what I was going to say is the most incredible part of this story is that you had a son, and you named your son after the son that Leah and Sam lost.
Yes.
They lost 2 children before that also.
They lost 2 children
One at
before
birth
that,
and one as an infant.
as an infant. But can you imagine you return back to the Shopov house, you're married, you bring them a grandson by the name of Joel. They must have been ecstatic.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they were.
Well,
He's the only one that that Leah really ever recognized. The others.
No, she recognized them all. But the thing was, a week, 8 weeks after we got married, after I got out of college, we got married, and then I was drafted, and we were sent to Colorado Springs, to basic, for the first 8 weeks, and then I came home after that, and I was sent to Fort Lee, Virginia, for second 8 weeks of basic training, and then we drove back through Chicago, and I was reassigned to Fort Carson, Colorado.
Wow. How did you become the greatest in all of the San Diego, Los Angeles, all of the United States? How did you become one of the greatest surplus store suppliers to our area? Center
The bargain center.
in the bargain center in North Park. And I will tell you that I have been shopping at the store with my kids since they were 5 years old, and now they're 33. So this has been an incredible store. There were days I would go in there and you would look at me and say, okay, what do you need? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm in a museum. Because I would see World War II parachute outfits. I would see so many fabulous. What got you started in this?
The thing was, that's another story.
Werner, you just, as we're going through different photos and
Okay,
documents,
right.
I
Well-
need to ask you something.
Yes.
So you've got no papers of the day you were born. You can't find anything. What does one do so that they can get on a ship and end up coming to the United States?
Beats the hell out of me. You were an orphan in an orphanage, and that was it.
Wow.
And Ernest Papanek, he was a trustee for everybody, so he could sign the papers.
So he could sign
Yeah,
their papers,
right.
correct?
Yeah.
But not with the papers of adoption. You were not adopted.
No.
So how did you get your papers?
Which papers do you confer?
Papers so that you have a driver's license. That if somebody asks you about your birth certificate, what do you say?
They did for driver's license. It beats the hell out of me.
What do you say when somebody says, "Do you have a birth certificate?"
No, I don't have one. I came out of Europe, so how could
You
I?
came out of Europe. So did they provide any kind of document of birth for you?
No.
No. I will tell you, I have had such an amazing afternoon with Werner. You can see the documents that we have been going through to learn more about Now, Werner, here's his book. Thank you very much. He has this absolutely awesome book called The Epitome of the American Dream. It's one of the books that I'm going to be reading when I get my copy of it. I just got it on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon too. I'm speaking with Werner Dreifuss. He's quite a Chula Vista, I'm going to say hidden jewel, because we had to figure out how we were going to talk. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Starker freilich, ich dem Alke du der Melech. Oi, oi, ich allein hab mit meinen Augen gesehen, wie Gott hat mir mazelig gewinnt. Dem Mesinke ausgegeben, dem Mesinke ausgegeben.